Welcome back. I am attorney Nicholas Hicks, and this is the second and final installment of the child custody series. I hope that you've enjoyed the other videos that we've put out. There's more coming at you. Now, just to begin with, this information and all the videos that I'm putting out is for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be specific legal advice. You should contact an attorney in New York State to see how the laws in New York State apply to your particular situation. The last time we left off, if you'll recall, we talked about some general child custody issues. And today we're going to finish up with this concept of relocation. Now, sometimes it's the case that for whatever reason, a parent wants to leave the jurisdiction with the child or the children for a whole host of reasons. And the typical scenario is that both parents and children live in a particular jurisdiction, let's say Erie County, and let's assume that mom is the residential parent. Mom decides that she wants to move to a different state, and she, as we mentioned before, cannot do so without a court order or without the permission of the non-residential parent. And again, that permission should be in writing, just to protect everybody. But let's assume that permission is not given from the other parent. Then mom, in this scenario, must petition the court for an order to allow her to relocate with the children. Now, here is what you should know about relocation. It's not something that's granted easily for obvious reasons. Relocating children out of the jurisdiction certainly creates a different parenting scenario on both sides of the equation, and certainly for the non-residential parent, who in most instances are not going to be able to have access to the children the way that that parent normally may have. Typically every other weekend, maybe some evenings or after school or overnights during the week. Obviously, for most people, that creates a very difficult hardship to put those kind of miles between the parent, the non-residential parent, and the children. And so, even with technology being what it is with FaceTime and those things, which sometimes can assist in the argument that a parent should be allowed to relocate, there still is a pretty big hurdle that the party who desires to move has to overcome. And some of the factors that the court looks at in determining whether, and remember the test is this in the best interest of the children? And what change in circumstances does there exist, substantial change in circumstances that would warrant this kind of relocation. And this is what the moving party, the party who wants to move, has to demonstrate, has to overcome. There isn't one single factor that dictates or warrants a change. The court can look at a number of issues. Now, the typical scenario, for example, in this instance, mom has a better job opportunity, say in the state of California. She can make significantly more money. There's some other kind of job advancement. And she may argue that, well, with this additional money, I can give the children a better lifestyle, more opportunities. That can be a factor. Is that enough in and of itself? Probably not. The other factors, what are the school systems like? If you compare the school system to where the children are now to the new proposed school system, how do they compare to each other? That's a factor. What was the relationship like between the non-residential parent and the children? that plays a factor. For example, in this scenario, if dad didn't spend much time with the children, didn't really exercise visitation on any kind of regular basis, well, he'd have a more difficult time persuading the court that this move now somehow impairs his ability to visit the children when he really didn't avail himself of that opportunity when the children were here. On the other hand, in this scenario, dad has frequent access with the children. Maybe every weekend or every other weekend, or maybe several days during the week he accesses, holidays, etc. Well, then that makes his argument for the children to stay better, and mom's argument that the children should move more difficult. Other factors. What are the extended family's relationships like with children? Does the non-residential parent, does he have family here? Are his parents, the paternal grandparents, are they close with the children? Are there other half siblings that dad may have that have a relationship with the child or children? Friends, other kinds of interpersonal relationships that the children may have that would be severely impacted, possibly negatively impacted, by moving out of their jurisdiction. So all of these things come into play, because remember, all of it has to address this one very important question. Is it in the best interest of the child or children to pull up roots here and go somewhere else? Is the benefit of moving there outweigh whatever losses or whatever negative impact leaving might have? All of these things come into play. Now, do children have a say in custody issues and relocation issues? The answer is it depends. When children reach a certain age, and there isn't a magic age, but 12, 13 years old, at least in this jurisdiction, judges will often want to know what the child's desires are. Does the child have a preference for living with one parent or another? Why? What's the basis for that preference? Is the child making a mature decision? Sometimes children will say, well, I want to live with dad because dad's more fun. Or I don't want to live with mom because mom has too many rules. Well, chances are that the court's not going to give that a lot of weight, because that really isn't a mature conclusion. But if a child's saying things like, well, I like the school better, I like the neighborhood better, I like my friends better, mom doesn't spend, we live with mom, but mom's always working on the computer, and when we're with dad, he plays with us, he does our homework with us, he does. So again, those things, if a child has, those kinds of comments, that's something that could weigh heavily. So the answer to that general question is, do older children have a voice? The answer is yes, they do. And those children, all children in those kind of proceedings, will have an attorney assigned to them to represent their interests and to advocate on their behalf and put forth their client's position with respect to whether or not they have a preference. And again, those things can impact on a court's decision to allow or deny a parent's ability to relocate with the child or children. So again, relocation it can only be done by court order or by permission of the other parent. So it's, for you parents out there who are thinking about relocating with your children, do not assume because you're the residential parent that gives you the right to take the children, pick up, and just leave. You cannot. It's illegal. It's kidnapping. You have to have the permission of the other parent, preferably in writing to protect yourself, or you have to have a court order. You have to apply to court, petition the court for permission to relocate. So hopefully this was helpful and you enjoyed the custody series. This is the second part of a two-part custody series. Hopefully it was helpful, and be sure to join us next time. We have new information to give you. Please enjoy, and I will talk to you next time. This is Attorney Nicholas Hicks. Thank you.